Hey there. So this week we have been discussing unit rate. And as we know, we kind of, especially in math class, build off on each other. So we spend a lot of times dealing with fractions in our number sense unit. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to calculate unit rate if you do have fractional numbers to deal with. So our very first one, it says it takes a turtle a quarter of an hour to walk 1/3 miles. So how many hours does it take to walk 1 mile? I think a lot of us could kind of in our head say, okay, 1/3 of a mile, we're going to multiply by 3. Remember with unit rate and these equivalent fractions, we need to make sure that we are setting up our equivalent fractions every single time, regardless if we think we can do it without those. So I'm going to just tilt you guys for a second. All right, so if we know that we are going to take 1/4 of an hour. So we have our 1/4. We're going to put that over. Takes us 1/3 of an hour to do that. So we're going to walk a quarter hour. Takes us to walk 1/3 of a mile. So we want to know how many hours does it take to walk 1 mile. So we're going to set this equal. And we know if we want to know how many hours it takes to walk 1 mile, this up here is our hours. So we have hours up here at the top. And we have miles down here at the bottom. So you always want to make sure when you are doing these unit rate problems, make sure you guys can see that. When you guys are doing these unit rate problems, you always want to make sure you know exactly what you're talking about and what we're trying to solve. So it says, how many hours does it take to walk 1 mile? So we're going to make this lead us to 1 mile. So that's what we're looking for. I want to know this answer to how long does it take me to do 1 mile. So I need to figure out what I did to 1/3 in order to get to this answer of 1. We know 1/3 times 3 would give us 3/3 or 1 whole. So in order to keep these equivalent, we're going to take this top and multiply it by 3 as well. Luckily for us, we just spent a very long time doing our number sense unit. So we know that 1/4 times, we're going to put this 3 over 1 in order to make that a fraction. We like multiplying fractions. We multiply straight across. So we end up with 3/4. It's going to take 3/4 of an hour in order to walk 1 mile. All right, so our second question says that a recipe calls for 2/3 cup white sugar for every 3/4 cup brown sugar. I want to use 1 cup of white sugar. How much brown sugar should I use? So again, we're going to set up our first fraction that we do know. So we know that 2/3, and this is our white sugar. I always just try to keep those labeled so I know what I'm talking about. And 3/4 brown sugar. So again, this is our ratio. I use 2/3 cup white sugar for every 1/4 or 3/4 brown sugar. And we want to use 1 cup of white sugar. 1 over, and again, this is what we are looking to solve. So kind of like I stated in the last problem, unless you guys are really awesome with fractions, remember we're not adding. So I need to figure out what I am multiplying by in order to go from 2/3 to 1. And if you know that, that's awesome. However, if you don't know it, this is when we talked about our 3 methods of solving. We can either figure out what we're multiplying this way, what we're multiplying by this way, or we can figure out what we're doing by cross multiplication. So this is going to be one of those because I don't know what I multiplied 2/3 by to get to 1. I don't know what I multiplied 2/3 by to get to 3/4. So this would be one where we would have to do cross multiplication. So we're going to go on our diagonal because that's when we have our 2 numbers. So 3/4 times 1 is again just 3/4. And go across, we're going to divide by 2/3. Again, that's why we just spent our number sense unit figuring out all of these rules, so that way when they become applicable, like in this ratio unit, we know how to solve these problems. So we are going to take 3/4 divided by 2/3. We already know when we see division problems, we're going to keep, change, flip. So keep 3/4, change to multiplication, flip this around, and now I end up with 9/8, which is the same as 1 1/8. So our answer, how much brown sugar should I use? We're going to use 1 1/8 cups. All right, so what you guys are going to be working on today, you're going to continue on this Nearpod, and just make sure you guys are doing exactly what was just shown on this board. For every single problem, when it says draw it out, regardless if you think you can do it without setting up your two equivalent ratios, both of them should be set up. So you should have the ratio that is given from the problem, figure out what the second one is going to be, what we are solving for. That's why you guys have the draw it feature on there. So just make sure you guys are utilizing that. Otherwise, if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, you guys just can get working on that. And yeah, GoGuardian's open. Zoom chat is open if you need that. Just let me know if you have any questions.